All right, we are live. It's been a little while since my last live stream. Bell County Comic Con 2025 is over, and I am back, and I've been energized and ready to go. So, yeah, I got plenty to talk about, give the after action review here, catch up with anybody that has questions, comments, and concerns for the cause related to Iconic Comics, Soul Finder, anything else. And yeah, so I figured I would just run down the list and let everyone know about how it went down in Texas, some future Iconic Comic plans, and let everyone know Soul Finder plans and all that sort of stuff, and just catch up on all sorts of stuff. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I got a little bit, got about an hour here, and then I got to go and pick my wife up at work. Dropped her off this morning just because I like to talk with my wife on the way to work. And it was Friday, and she's like, "You want to give me a ride?" And I was like, "Yeah." So then I chat with my wife on the way to work and pick her up. And then tonight we are having rotisserie chicken, sweet potatoes, and likely asparagus. I think that's the plan. Tomorrow, got the ribs out, and who knows what else. Brett, thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate it. Let's see here. All right, where do we want to start? First of all, I guess we will say, if you didn't know, now you know. Quote Dana White there. Arc Athena by Eric Canetti, volumes 5 and volume 6 are now out at Iconic Comics. You can pick them up right at the website. I have 5 and 6, and I was waiting for this weekend to read them. And then I will contact Eric and let him know what I thought. I'm sure they're looking pretty good. I flipped through them. The series, as I've read it, has gotten better with each one. I know I am, of course, biased, full disclosure. Very biased as it pertains to Eric, but I try my best to filter out that bias and be honest. But yeah, I thought every single one is done exactly what it was supposed to do for a 6-part story, building to a conclusion. So we'll see how 5 and 6 went. But anyway, check it out. They look outstanding as usual. So Eric Canetti, congratulations, and good luck on your future projects. I know he's got a Common America project that's a crossover type book that's coming up down the line. So I'm sure that will be good. And I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, again, pick it up if you get a chance. Boom. All right, we'll talk about the Angels, the Seraphim plushies, how they did at Bell County Comic Con. And let's see here. All right. So I don't even know how much I posted. I'll just scroll down here. People continue to share the Soul Finder series. The Viridian Toothy Cow, thanks for reading. Books 1, 2, 3, and War Cry. I was very happy to see that. Always happy to see people sharing the books, sharing the merchandise, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I guess we'll just keep going down the list here. This is a good example of how cool everybody is down in Texas. So some Soul Finder readers came up to me, and they had this nice leather case that they had a bunch of Sharpies in it. But you can use it as like a change bag, put a bunch of cash in there, all sorts of stuff. Nice leather case, the perfect color, the kind of color that I would pick out if I was picking it out myself. It's got a nice little cross on there. It's got some scripture on there and all this American flag cross. It's patriotic. It's Christian. It's got leather. It's tasteful. All these things. Provided to me by a couple of readers who enjoy the Soul Finder series. So, yeah, I guess my point is all of you guys are incredibly thoughtful and incredibly kind, and it's humbling, and I am very grateful for all of you. Imagine you're trying to interact with people at the show, and then all of a sudden some people come up to you with this really nice gift, and it's an act of kindness, selflessness, and I got to control my emotions. So whenever someone's incredibly kind to me, sometimes I get a little weird emotionally, I guess. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where I don't know. I can't explain it. But it's like as I get older, when somebody is just kind to me out of the blue, it does something to me. So anyway, thanks again for that. So that's an example of how the weekend went. I'll continue to go through it. Further proof, I came back and I was just so psyched and I was so energized by everything. Even though I didn't step on my bike for a week, even though I went down back to sea level. The elevation here is quite a bit higher. So normally when I go down to Texas and I'm down there and I come back and I get back on my bike, by the time I get back, usually I stay like a week or so, some, week and change, whatever it is. And my first ride back is just like completely junky. And this time I did a 45-minute ride, 15.35 miles in a personal best. And I'm sorry if I'm boring some of you with you're not into the fitness or whatever, but my heart rate was only in zone 5 for 34% of the time. Although it was kind of high, 193 beats for my age, 46 years old. Sometimes I get a little scared as it gets if I wasn't married, I wouldn't be as like worried, but as I get older and then my heartbeat goes like well above the range it kind of supposed to be, I'm just like, am I going to have a heart attack and just drop dead on this bike right now? Or if I was like running, that sort of stuff. But I love the heart rate monitors. If you don't have a heart rate monitor, highly suggest getting one. Anyway, the point is I'm putting a lot of this on the Bell County Comic-Con audience because I was just so pumped for everything that's on deck, everything that's coming down the line. Soul Finder Volume 5. I could talk about that soon. So thank you, everybody, for pumping me up to a personal best at 46 years old on the bike. Granted, I haven't been, I was always a runner for the longest time, but then I jacked my back up, and my back was jacked up for many years. It's still not quite right. So I've been staying away from the running, and I've been hitting up the bike. So let's see. John Johnson, perfect for the Panera bread receipts. So yeah, I'm always in Panera quite a bit. Actually, today I got free Panera. The manager, for whatever reason, he likes me, and every once in a while he'll just be like, hey, it's on me, man. So probably because I come in there so much and I also tweet out Panera pictures. I know not everybody likes it. Some people are like, it's like glorified hospital food. Why do you like it? I could go way back on that, but Panera was always there for me during the dark days. Mr. Krahovac, did you survive Vic? You know what? I don't know anything. Like I said before, I don't know anything about Vic, but when I'm at the show, I don't get a chance to see anybody. So there was like some of the fighters. I wanted to see Butterbean. I didn't get a chance to see Butterbean. It was so busy from basically open to close, and then it like opens early with the VIP passes. So I was down there Saturday morning. I was getting all my stuff set up because the night before it was like torrential downpour for a little bit, and the roof was leaking. And so they had tarps over stuff to protect things, and my stuff was safe. I think Tim actually may have like moved stuff. I'm not sure. Somebody did to make sure nothing got wet. But anyway, I was there like 7:00 Saturday morning. Eric Canetti and I, and obviously the other guys were there early too. And as soon as the VIP passes came in, it just was nonstop all day. I never sit down anyway, but I was basically selling all day until like 5:30 or whatever time they close on Saturday, 6:00, whatever it is. And I must say, I've always had a great Bell County Comic-Con in terms of sales, but I'm pretty sure this was the best one yet. Part of that is because I have more books to sell all the time and I have more merchandise. So I actually had some of the Soul Finder soundtrack vinyls. Those all went. I had some new prints. I got rid of some of those. Although those I usually, if someone buys a lot, I'll just give them one for free. I had the Angel plushies. So yeah, let's see. Angel plushies. Let's see. I sold probably 25 to 30. I don't know the exact count. I should do an exact counting. But on some level, I don't care. It's just a guesstimate here. But I basically sold like a dozen plus Saturday and Sunday. And I was selling them at Bell County Comic-Con for $20. Obviously, on the website, things are more expensive. You get a discount if you show up in person. And I like to basically reward people that come out, because there are people that flew out from like the East Coast. There are people that drive like 4 and 5 hours to get there from, I don't know, wherever it is, West Texas or Arizona and all that. So you get a little bit of a discount. So I was slinging angel plushies all over the place. I had multiple people bought 2. I had one person buy 3 at one time, and it didn't matter the denomination. It didn't matter if they were like even agnostic atheists. There's people that are just kind of fascinated by the seraphim, so they'll buy them. It's not just a Catholic thing, so like different denominations were buying them. Everybody likes seraphim, and yeah, so I was very, very, very happy with the seraphim sales. They were quite awesome. All right, Mr. Dragon, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it as well. And got to actually talk to you, and thank you so much for stopping in as well. Like I said, nice people all around. The people that come to the Iconic Comics booths, booth, island, whatever you want to call it, always super kind and respectful and all that sort of stuff. So thank you for that. All right, so boom. All right, we all covered that. We'll continue to go down the list. Boop, 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 boop. Maybe we could talk about the WNBA, making weird cracks about janitors, all of that. All right, so Bell County Comic Con founder. All right, so the main part here is 40,000 people attended. Quite a large show, and like I said, it was packed. Sunday, obviously, in the morning. A lot of times, people are at church and stuff like that in the morning, including Timothy Lim and myself. Went to mass early Sunday, and then we show up. So it's a little slower Sunday morning, but then once kind of church gets out or whatever, and down in Texas, people come, and then it picks up right again. Did perfectly fine. So that I'll use as a springboard. I wasn't sure. So here's the thing. Not everybody was happy about Bell County Comic Con, the fact that Rippaverse and Iconic were under one roof and all of that. So of course, I was sent in a quote EFAP by our old friend Ethan, who was none too happy with the fact that Eric July and Iconic Comic were under one roof and everybody was happy and all of this sort of stuff. Now, Ethan said that this was a small show to his audience. Again, how stupid do you have to be to listen to somebody say that a show where 40,000 people went through over the course of 2 days is a small show? It's not a small show. These people are so dumb, or so brainwashed, or so starstruck, or whatever it is, that even when they see the truth, it doesn't matter. It just bounces right off their head. And they will find a way to just be like, no, it must not be true, or I don't even know what. So they're just wedded to the lie. They're just wedded to dishonesty. So this guy is going around just like saying how it's a small show. And that's like, he can say whatever he wants. Like, it's kind of silly. It doesn't matter. Like, ultimately, like, we're going to continue to like keep doing our thing and keep growing. And like I said, like, people that lie like this, they just end up in the rear view mirror, and it's like, whatever. It's amusing to me at this point in time. It's really like how someone could hear something that's blatantly dishonest or something that's easily debunked within seconds, and they just continue to believe it. And they never hold the liars to account and be like, hey, this is strange. Why are you lying? Like, why are you just straight up lying? They don't do that sort of stuff. So I thought that was strange. And he was going on and on. So here's another lie that I'll bring up. So Ethan was, of course, he has to always poison the well with his audience. And so he started, of course, he always goes back to like years ago with the debunked Hut stuff where I helped him pay for his mother's funeral. But he continues this lie that I went after Clint Stoker. So I thought, hey, let's compare Ethan's words here with the actual receipts. So I thought this might be kind of amusing. So here's Ethan the other day, really grumpy that 40,000 people were going through the convention area over the course of 2 days. And we were all busy and everyone was happy and all of this sort of stuff. So let's listen to this real quick and then let's roll back the tape. All right, let's see what we got here.
Doug Ernst, you're also a spiritual mentor, aren't you? Somebody who was so cowardly that you had to use a retarded man.
So he's talking about the comic book hut, saying that he's a mentally disabled man. The comic book hut who he went to a baseball game with, and now who is under the guise of comic book drama. He can never stop calling comic book hut mentally disabled, basically an IQ that hovers around 65, whatever you need to just be alive. That's how he frames the comic book hut, who he went to a baseball game with. Never mind the fact that, again, the comic book hut came to me, told me years ago that his Catholic mother died and he did not have money to give her a proper Catholic burial. And me, as a Catholic who had the means to help the man, one of the corporal works of mercy is to bury the dead, did what was within my means to do to help him. In fact, I probably should have done more, but whatever. So, all right. So comic book hut, if you're listening, listen to how Ethan Van Sciver describes you. Embarrassing.
Comic book hut, to put your filth out there in the industry that you're too afraid to say so that you can keep your squeaky clean image.
All right. Again, I told Ethan Van Sciver on the phone, and we know he likes to record conversations. So I said years ago, if you want to, release the uncensored phone conversations between me and you. I told you off on the phone for all intents and purposes in a very tactful way. So I basically told this guy off on the phone. He leaked my DMs selectively on Kiwi Farms. Anyone who wants to find them, they're on Kiwi Farms. I basically told him off in DMs as well in a tactful way. And so I told him in DMs, I basically told him off. I told him over the phone, I told him off. We could all go back to the time that I was face-to-face with him on a live stream, and he ended up apologizing to me for his behavior because he thought he could play his little manipulative games, and it didn't work, and he knew he was looking ridiculous and stupid on his own channel, and so I told him off to his face. All right, so did that, and then multiple times over the years, I addressed Ethan's lies on my own channel and on Twitter. You could go through Twitter, use the advanced search. There's multiple times I talked about comic book pros. I provided receipts. So I basically told him off on Twitter, now X, on my live streams, in videos, on the phone, on his own channel, and in DMs with him. I know he likes to leak DMs. He's perfectly, if he wants to, he can release every DM that we ever had with one another. And you can see that I had no problem telling this guy off and calling him out for what he is, which is a liar. Now let's go back to the tapes once more. All right, let's see. Here's a clip of Ethan Van Sciver that I sent Hut. But where did I get this? As Vicky has said before, this was taken from her Twitter feed, and I believe Preston Poulter as well. I'm not 100% sure on that, but a few of them I just grabbed straight from Twitter less than 24 hours after Ethan's live streams. This was said to thousands of people, this particular lie, and it was sent to Comic Book Hut. Here we go.
Shadow King says Doug E and Preston tried to stop RR. Red Rooster. That is true.
There you go. Oh, so Ethan Van Sciver lies to me to thousands of people about Red Rooster and Mitch Breitweiser, and then it is posted online by Vicky and people like Preston Poulter, who took Ethan Van Sciver to court for lying and defamation and all that sort of stuff. And because somebody asked me if I had the clip of him lying about me, and I sent it to him verbatim in context, then that somehow was a bad thing. Even though Ethan literally pays people to do weirdo puppet shows about, like, perverted puppet shows about people. And then I think he has that one Katie, whatever her name is, like she was on his payroll or doing stuff for him. I don't know if it's, but she does little clips and stuff like that. So it's okay when he has clips of all sorts of people and he has people doing clips of them. But when someone comes to me privately and say like, hey, I heard Ethan was lying about you. Did you have the clip? Can you send it to me? Yeah, sure. No problem. That's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's fine. We're not, it's not like we're opposed to underhanded tactics when it comes to winning.
There he is. This was another clip I sent to Comic Book Hut. Ethan Van Sciver, within the context of him regularly lying about me, Timothy Lim, and Mark Pellegrini and Iconic Comics, saying that he is not opposed to using underhanded tactics as long as it benefits him. Where is this stream? Probably down the memory hole with many, many others.
Support them. Aaron Olson says, where is this Doug Ernst bashing coming from?
Yeah. Where is this Doug Ernst bashing coming from? His own audience years ago were weirded out. They didn't know what was going on. He would randomly just talk crap about me on his streams, which he would then private or delete or all that sort of stuff. And people didn't understand why he was doing that. And then he's like, where is this Doug Ernst bashing from? That is the laugh of somebody who is engaging in malevolent behavior. He knows what he's doing is wrong, but he's doing it anyway. And he's laughing because he's thinking that he's getting away with it. But you didn't get away with it because I was working for a newspaper, and I'm the type of guy who keeps receipts. And I got receipts chronicled going back for years. So the same guy that was sued by Preston Poulter for defamation, I want you to know that I have receipts going back years and years and years, and I have mercifully not used them. I'm just sitting on them, waiting for the day when it's just right to use them. When you tell a lie that is just so big that exposing it will leave you with egg all over your face. Or if, as Scott Adams said, I ever get FU money, maybe, just maybe, I might, do this is the same guy who wanted to go after Elasmat and say like, hey, what you're saying is untrue. This is defamation. You're on notice. Well, guess what? I've told Ethan a number of times that what he's saying is untrue and he's on notice. So yeah, again, I got all the receipts. I got them chronicled. I got them organized. Every time this guy lied about me, or if not every time, like a tome of lies about me that I could prove in a court of law, if I ever wanted to, that he lied, and that he did it to literally tens of thousands of people, with comment section filled with people who believed the lies and said that they would never support my books again. So a lot of times you got to show that there was actual damages. And when you stream to tens of thousands of people and you tell them lies, and then those people comment, then you chronicle it, and you have all the information all there. Well, just saying. So, all right, let's see what else was he continuing? Did we already get to the Clint Stoker part? Let's see.
You pieces of shit. None of you are worth anything at all. Wow, thank you for a red super chat. Eric is not a real comic book fan, so when he was starting the Rippaverse, he must have tried to get into some of the big comic books. And at the time, around 2015 or no, 2015, so no big event or cohesion among comic books was there, and continuity was
all right, so somewhere close by here, he was talking about Clint Stoker. And let's see the Clint Stoker clip. All right, let's go. Clint Stoker. What was the clip about Clint Stoker? He said that I was allegedly trashing Clint Stoker. Well, here we go. Here it is right here.
I have to read this because it's a super chat. So thank you, Amateur, for $5. He says, thank you, EVS, God of CG, for now allowing indie creators to use Kickstarter and not Blacklist.
I don't blacklist. No.
It never was EVS. It wasn't anybody. The one most outspoken was John.
Clint Stoker is funded and enjoys success is because he has branded himself Comicsgate. He's loyal to this little club, this little thing of ours.
Tony.
Don't let Sweetcast become frauds. Don't let them become phonies.
It never was EBS.
You enjoy some protection by kind of following some rules around here. Is it Sweet Comics? Okay. Don't do it. That's all I would say. And you can, again, when I say do it if you want to, I'm saying it like this. Do it if you want to.
No. It never was EBS.
I hope he hears this, and
I hope you hear this, Clint. Do it if you want to. Kickstarter, smacking the hands, wiping the hands clean, doing the little mafioso thing. Clint Stoker. You might not want to go to Kickstarter. Or Ethan Van Sciver and the John the Melon. They're going to make sure you don't get the protection anymore.
I hope he understands.
I hope you understand.
$5 is everyone saw the stream where you were talking about Clint Stoker not promoting him anymore with Malin.
Where did that stream go? That stream was wiped down the memory hole, flushed down the memory hole as well. But I had the receipts. Why? Because this was all within the context. At the same time, all these guys were saying that me, Mark Pellegrini, Timothy Lim, and Iconic Comics were traitors for going to or being open to Kickstarter. So obviously with the crossover campaign with Tim and Mark, that was their campaign, but Soul Finder was included in it, whatever. I'm open to Kickstarter and was telling creators at the time, hey, you should be open to going to Kickstarter. It's a very huge website. You want to cast as wide of a net as possible. And if you don't, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. If it's really easy to essentially fall within the rules of Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and one is just massive, why would you not go to Kickstarter? If it, why would you do that? So there are reasons why you might not want to go to Kickstarter. Maybe you don't want to manage 2 campaigns at one time. But if you're trying to cast as wide of a net as possible, and your disposition is such that you don't mind running multiple campaigns, you feel like you can juggle them at the same time, you should seriously at least consider it. And so these guys at the time, in many of these streams, all surrounding the Clint Stoker stuff, were saying that Clint and Iconic Comics and all that, we were traitors to Richard C. Meyer.
That's right, yeah.
That's right, yeah. He admits on the stream that is now deleted that he made it clear to Clint Stoker that, hey, you might not get the protection anymore. And Clint, at the time, he didn't even say he was going to go to Kickstarter. He just did a video saying, hey, it might be a good idea. And that is what set these guys off. And so Ethan has taken this clip right here of himself and John Malin and all of those guys, the Comicsgate Kings. Ooh, they're royalty. Bow down to the kings, everybody. Do what they say. What was I going to say? So letting Clint Stoker know, like, hey, you're out of here for all intents and purposes if you keep pushing the Kickstarter thing. So them going after Clint and then me having the receipts of it, which falls within the context of them also poisoning the well against Iconic Comics and everyone involved in Iconic at the time, is somehow flipped into an attack on them. And all of these things I tactfully talked about with anybody who asked me over the years. Now, again, I was diplomatic, but I was very tactful. And anybody who watched my channel, anyone who DM'd me, it didn't matter who you were. If I felt as though you were asking me a question in good faith, I did my best to answer. So the idea that I was only talking to Comic Book Hut, who was literally one of my readers who interviewed me on his own channel multiple times, who used to show up in my own live streams, and I was very nice to. Like, all these guys want to act like I treated Comic Book Hut like he was radioactive and I didn't want anything to do with him. I got plenty of receipts of this guy thanking me, telling me, thank you. You're one of the few people that actually have openly been nice to me, even though all of quote unquote Comicsgate hates my guts and they come after me on a regular basis. So anyway, the point is anything that I told Comic Book Hut, Anybody else over the course of years, and there were dozens upon dozens of people that asked me questions, especially when I'm being lied about on streams, I did my best to give an honest answer to. These days, I don't like talking to anybody in DMs because I don't want my DMs weaponized. Again, I do talk to a couple people, but they're only people that I've talked to for years and years and years. And when I do talk to someone these days, I always do so in the back of my head thinking, and I even did this back then, but I always assumed that my DMs might be spread across the front page of the New York Times. So that was always some advice that I got years ago. I forgot who gave it to me. It was probably like within the journalism sort of thing. Whatever you say privately, you have to assume that at some point in time, it's going to show up on the front page of the New York Times or the Washington Post or whatever, and that your mother's going to read it. And so you better conduct yourself in a way where if it gets plastered on a national newspaper or it's on nationally syndicated radio, then you wouldn't be embarrassed about it. So that's why at the time when these guys were talking about all the Hut stuff, and they basically released a subject line email from my business account saying things like Ethan Van Sciver is a liar. Ethan Van Sciver is obsessed with Timothy Lim. True. Richard C. Meyer is like the principal Skinner of indie comics. True. I mean, you could look at Richard's videos these days where he's obsessed with Eric July, Wes from Thinking Critical, Gary Nerdrotic, just constantly going after them, did a complete 180. And again, Ethan's always like, oh, Doug Ernst was attacking Richard C. Meyer. Yeah, 2 email responses over the course of 3 years out of thousands of email inquiries from readers. And what were those? Oh, it was Richard C. Meyer saying Iconic Comics was the gold standard of indie comics fulfillment. And he got upset when his own readers were like, hey, you should live up to the gold standard. You just said Iconic was the gold standard. Why are your books like months and months and months late? And you have multiple books late, dude. Why don't you live up to the gold standard? And then he got all pissy and he deleted every single good thing that he ever said about Iconic Comics. So, yeah. And I have said this publicly as well. So, and then Richard, he went on, this is deleted in his like little posts, his streams. And he was like, oh, I got a passive aggressive email. And so that's why I deleted everything. Richard doesn't want to play those games because I got the receipts on that. And if I ever decided to drop the receipts on our exchange about how he treated me and Tim and Mark and Iconic Comics, he wouldn't really look too good. And I've tried to not do that. I don't really want to get into this tit for tat sort of thing. But the fact of the matter is this guy, I mean, he would ask me for inside info about Iconic Comics and the president, and he would want like information on Matt Weldon and Alejandro Mirabal and all sorts of stuff like that. And then he would just pretend like he didn't know who we were. He would like refer to us with personal pronouns because it was so obvious he was scared of upsetting Ethan. So sometimes he would talk about Iconics and he would be like, the company, they, them, the creators. And like, it was the strangest thing. And then once I basically called him out and I was like, you want information from me, but like you refer to me like I'm this mysterious meteorite that falls from the sky and you're just curious about who I am. This is when I released Black Tide. And I was like, if you don't have the common decency to say my name when you're talking about my book and my campaign and my decision to go directly to Iconic Comics instead of crowdfunding, I don't really want anything to do with you because it's disrespectful. So again, I would have never even sent the clips in context verbatim about Richard calling Iconic Comics the gold standard of indie comics fulfillment if he didn't delete it and put it down the memory hole. I kept it. And then at the time, Comic Book Cup knew that he deleted all of his videos and wanted the video that was deleted. And I was like, here you go, dude. Similarly, we could look back not too long ago. Richard deleted every single one of his videos except like 100 of them. So this is the guy that is constantly trying to erase history so people can't hold him to account. and then going after Wes from Thinking Critical on a regular basis, why is it okay if he obsessively goes after Wes and Eric July and Gary and actually Mags Visaggio and all of these people? It's okay when Richard obsessively goes after people, but anybody that he thinks is obsessively covering a topic, then all of a sudden it's bad. Then we got to do like, it's the strangest thing. If you don't like Wes, wouldn't you just not talk about the guy? Especially since Wes was only nice to Richard for years and years, never said a bad thing about him, promoted his channel, like directed people to his channel, stood up for him, stuck his neck out for him with the stupid lawsuit that I told Richard that he probably didn't want to do that, but people like Ethan and others were pushing him behind the scenes, according to Richard, to do the lawsuit. And I was like, hey man, lawsuits are really expensive and really stressful, and they only put money in the pockets of lawyers for the most part, and the lawyers are going to be the ones that benefit, and you're going to basically be all super crazy stressed out and losing money, and you might lose the case. Why don't you take $150,000? You have all the goodwill behind you. Why don't you put that into your company and just make kick butt books that everybody likes, and then be successful that way, and you'll get your revenge by just creating an awesome company that nobody can deny. And don't make decisions emotionally and just get into a lawsuit because you have other people that don't care about your long-term interest pushing you to do it. But of course, I said, if you ultimately decide to do it, I will support you. I didn't think it was a good idea. He did it, and then what's done is done. So I did my best to support that guy, stuck my neck out for him, just like Wes from Thinking Critical and many other people. And then what's he do? He pulls down his pants and he just craps all over him. So you could just ignore Wes, who never even mentioned all the crap that you can be taken into account for. But no, just gonna keep going after Wes again and again and again. Embarrassing, dude. Totally embarrassing. Got campaigns that are a complete disarray, complete disasters, refund requests, people wanting to know what's up, and you're concentrating on Wes and Gary and all these people. Why don't you get your act together, dude? It is so sad and embarrassing. So again, people think that, oh, Ethan thinks I'm scared of calling people out. No, I generally don't do it, but when I'm pushed far enough, I got some things to say. So if anything, again, I've been merciful to all these guys. I got receipts up the wazoo on all of them from years ago. You want to know why I distance myself from all these people? Because they're wacky people that think they're the smartest guy in every room, and they think that they know everything about everything when they don't, and then they fall on their face because logistically they don't know what the heck they're doing. And instead of eating, like just humbling themselves and being like, oh man, I screwed that up, I need to figure this out, they lash out at people like Wes from Thinking Critical. So anyway, let's see. So that's that. Again, let's see what else. Boop, boop, boop. See if he brings it up.
Either. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. We just think, yeah, you guys could always make your own comics. You know, it's just fine. You're not fixing anything. You're not solving anything. Comicsgate actually is solving a problem.
Okay. So on this level, he likes to denigrate Iconic Comics and Rippaverse because we're doing our own thing, succeeding. And then he says, well, Comicsgate is doing something. What are you doing?
Problem is blacklisting. So we're making it possible for blacklisted creators to make comics.
Okay, so Graham Nolan and Billy Tucci are dependent on Comicsgate. How? So you're saying that we can do our comics at Iconic and Rippaverse, and Rippaverse can make millions and millions of dollars, like $3 million this year alone, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Iconic Comics can host a convention with 40,000 people that go through the gates over the course of 2 days. And we can do that, but pros who have been in the industry for decades need Ethan Van Sciver and Comicsgate in order to do their thing. Okay. No, that doesn't really make any sense, dude.
which is a symptom of the spiritual problem in comics that you're talking about. You guys are not here to help at all.
I'm not there to help Ethan Van Sciver, who likes to take credit for other people's success. If you go on Ethan's show one time, for the rest of your life, he will take credit for it and then demand that you give him credit for it. So years ago with Soulfinder Demons match, he ignored us for weeks and weeks. And I heard that in his little DM rooms, he was making fun of Tim and I because they thought that we were going to fall on our face and fail. And because we weren't kissing his butt, we weren't being like, can you please, sir, can we be on your channel? A little bit more gruel, sir. We didn't do that. And then all of a sudden we made $25,000 while this guy was taking shots at Timothy Lim for weeks and weeks and ends. And then he reached out and was like, hey, do you want to come on the show? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, crap. Now if I say no, he's going to turn that into some stupid drama crap. But if I say yes, he's going to ultimately take credit for it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be like, yeah, sure, I'll go on, dude. So I went on. We barely made anything. It was like $1,200 at a time when normally going on his show would get you like $10,000 because he poisoned the well so much against Tim. And then we get off, and I was like, Tim, if you want all the money that was like made on books from the show, you could have it. And he's like, nah, dude, I want you to have it because Tim's a good guy. Anyway, then Ethan goes on some show with like Yellow Flash and just some guy like months later, and maybe like that Umbrella guy. And he took credit for Soulfinder's success and said it was because of him. So it was just like, oh, I get it. You waited until we were 250% funded. We were at $25,000. You didn't do one thing except like denigrate Tim. And then because I went on your show and made like, you know, a couple of bucks essentially, then you're saying like you somehow were the root cause of our success. Yay, good one, dude.
Not at all. You supported the blacklist.
Really unique.
So anyway, if you go back here, you can find it where he talks about Clint Stoker and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, the receipts back me up. I posted the receipts. Again, notice how this guy, whenever he brings up the comic book cut stuff, they've never shown any of these videos. Duh, that's why they don't show the videos. Because the videos show that he was lying about me. He was lying about Clint Stoker. Clint and I are in very good terms. Clint is barely on Twitter X these days, but you could go, again, you could search up the receipts. It's Clint and I going back and forth saying, hey, man, I'm looking forward to the next Downcast. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to Soulfinder, back and forth. Clint and I are in good terms because Clint knows that I defended him. And I think on his own channel or on Twitter, he basically said I was the only one that defended him when his Dracula book came out, and these guys started attacking him. So Clint knows. But anyway, again, a completely stupid, brainwashed audience will listen to this. They won't see the actual receipts, and they'll just be like, Doug Ernst bad, boop, boop, boop. Doug Ernst went after Clint Stoker, beep, beep, boop, boop. And like 6 months from now, I'm going to be like talking to Clint Stoker online when he like comes out with some novel. And I'm going to be like, hey, Clint, looking forward to your novel. And then some idiot, and I say that in the nicest way possible. I have nothing against you. I can't help it if you're not very intelligent and you're just essentially brainwashed. Some idiot is going to come into the feed and be like, why are you talking to Clint Stoker? Ethan Van Sciver said that you were bashing him. Like, and again, then it's like, all right, I'm just going to ignore this because if I get into it, they'll probably, and then what they often do is they'll like literally tag Ethan in these things and be like, Ethan, look it, he's trying to suck up the Clint Stoker, the guy that he tried to throw under the bus or whatever. So anyway, one more time. Let's play this one more time.
Shadow King says Doug E and Preston tried to stop RR. Red Rooster. That is true.
That's fine. We're not. It's not like we're opposed to underhanded tactics when it comes to winning.
It's not like we're opposed to underhanded tactics if we're winning. Again, he is completely fine with dishonesty and lying and malevolence and underhanded tactics as long as he knows that he could ultimately benefit from it and spin whatever narrative that he wants about somebody to smear them, character assassination, all of those sorts of stuff. And that's why these sorts of streams go down the memory hole. He's done this to dozens and dozens and dozens of people over the years.
We support them.
Aaron Olson says, where Shadow King says, Doug E and Preston tried to stop RR. Red Rooster.
So again, at this was the same time that he was saying that I was trying to like body Kelsey Shannon, which is again a total lie. I just didn't particularly like Kelsey saying F Doug Ernst and Cecil saying with a rusty instrument when I was trying to run my Demons match campaign. But again, history is quite hilarious because where is Kelsey Shannon these days? Ethan made a mess of his relationship with Kelsey Shannon, didn't he? Yes, he did.
That is true.
Yeah, that's fine. We're not. It's not like we're opposed to underhanded tactics when it comes to winning. We support them.
Aaron Olson says, where is this Doug Ernst bashing coming from?
Yeah, dude. So I can see right through you. I've been able to see right through you since 2018. And now, thank God that many other people have been able to see through you. If you haven't watched the Comicsgate documentaries on this guy, watch the Comicsgate documentaries. If you haven't seen a Lazmat's channel on this guy and the documentaries on him, watch Lazmat's channel. Go to Edwin Boyette's Twitter feed, where he regularly dunks on these guys with their dishonesty. So although Edwin, that's the funny thing, Edwin just does these raw data analysis type things of sales, and it drives these guys up a wall because the actual raw data, which is really hard to spin, especially when you're citing your sources, again, they can't be dishonest. The math is the math, and they don't like it when the math ain't math. Go to Ben Dunn, Student of God here. Ben Dunn's video, he's another one that could see right through this guy. So time has revealed exactly who these people are. And so, again, kind of loosely related, if you want to know, please, sometimes people try and play matchmaker with me, and I don't like being in DMs too much these days. I will with a couple people, but here's what happens. If you ever see people in public and they say nice things about Iconic Comics, I want you to know that there are people out there that will say nice things about Iconic Comics and myself and Tim in public, but in private, they say quite the other thing. They do not like us, and they will tear us down, and they will smear us. They will drag us through the mud. They will find little ways to chip away at us in private. But guess what? A lot of times I see it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So sometimes people get frustrated with me when I see somebody who in public says very nice things about me, but in private, they are a completely different person. I don't call them out. I don't drop the receipts that are sent my way. All I do is keep the receipts and keep my distance and limit access to that person. I don't need to call you out. Once I know who you are, I just got to limit my access to you. And these guys, they all think they're slick. They think they're so slick doing videos, singing the praises of Iconic Comics while privately trying to take swipes at us. But guess what? A lot of times I see it. I'm just not going to say anything publicly. But if you want to behave like Ethan, want to play stupid games, eventually you will win a stupid prize. So anyway, let's go to the chat, shall we? Also, if you wanted to see the actual panel, Bell County Comic Con, Iconic Comics and Rippers, go to Romancer X's channel here. He's got both parts of it up. He always does all sorts of Bell County Comic Con stuff. He films it. Now, here's the thing is, it was funny. If you go to Ethan's stream, Vaughn, another creator who always like goes out of his way to like take swipes at me. He's the guy that called me a fake Christian. He shows up as a mod on Ethan's thing. And he was like, all those guys look miserable or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. Actually, no, Vaughn. People are just being professional. Like, what do you want me to do? Just like make little like clown balloons and like do jumping jacks and cartwheels on the stage. It's like if you're just being professional and just talking and waiting for your turn to speak, like they're so butthurt. They're coping so badly about this that they have to be like, yeah, they all look miserable up there. No, we had a really great time. And the after party was really fun as well. and we made all sorts of sales, and there was 40,000 people that was going through the gates over 2 days. So you can say all you want that we look miserable, but actually, no, we were just behaving like professionals at a show. So yeah, so check out Romancer X's thing as well. Let's see what the chat says. Sorry, I haven't circled back in a little while here. Mr. X, thanks for tuning in. Mr. Grohovac, a wonderful lesson. Doug has learned that being a good Catholic is not always the correct way. I try to be a good Catholic. There's nothing wrong with speaking truth, with bringing clarity to a situation. So you got to be careful, because you don't want to cross the line into needless gossiping and murmuring and all that sort of stuff. And I'm a flawed, fallible individual, just like everybody else. But when I sin, and I sin to the extent that I need to go to confession, like a Catholic who's trying to be a good Catholic, I will go to confession, and I will repent for my sins and reject my sins, and I will steel myself to be better than I was before. And I am constantly striving to be the better man today than I was yesterday. John Johnson, thank you. Mr. Dragon, again, thanks for tuning in. Nice Wario impression. JJ is here. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone forgets Hut turned on you when someone started calling his work after he doxed himself on his campaign. That is true. Sounds like a classic dirty trick, and you can find those receipts as well. Who was the one that went to Kiwi Farms and said that the Comic Book Hut released his personal information? Well, it was Ethan Van Sciver, who went to Kiwi Farms, where there was a bunch of people that are perfectly happy to dox individuals and put their addresses and their workplace and all that stuff up there. Ethan was the one who went there first. And that's in my feed. It's also on Kiwi Farms still. You could find it if you want to look into it. Ethan went there, told everybody that Hut's personal information was out. Then, within a very short amount of time on Kiwi Farms, they started posting pictures of Hut's old girlfriend, his workplace, all this sort of stuff. Hut was then freaked out and scared. He did a stream, apparently, where he mentioned that someone had called his workplace. He was freaked out because he had spent years going after, Ethan in his book. And he even said, this is on the Vickyverse and Dean stream that they saved before we put it down the memory hole. The Comic Book Hut acknowledged that before he even knew anything about me, he was doing these videos about Comicsgate. Why? Because his book was late. Ethan was late for Cyberfrog, and he wanted his book. And he did a stream to like 10 people and was like, I would really like my book, please. It's really late. What the heck? And then Ethan, who had 125,000 subscribers at the time or something along those lines, was doing a live stream, and he sent all of them to Brigade, the Comic Book Hut. And they were all making fun of the guy for living with his mother. Why did he live with his mother? Because he was his mother's sole caretaker for all intents and purposes. So these guys drove him to the brink. You want to know who created, in many ways, the Comic Book Hut? Ethan. Because there was a guy who was talking to about 10 people asking for his book, and the guy with 125,000 followers or subscribers sent people in to make fun of the guy for living with his mother, who was not essentially well, health-wise, who then died. And then when she died, he came to me and said he didn't have money to bury his Catholic mother. And as a Catholic man, I have an obligation to try and help. I wasn't going to be like, well, that sucks, dude. Well, good luck. See you later. I'll pray for you. And then just slam the door in his face. No, I had the means to help him, and I did. So ever since then, Ethan and all those guys have continued to lie about it. Although now Ethan goes on and he's like, Tuggerts gave this guy money. Why would anybody do that? Well, if you actually look into the corporal works of mercy, you know that burying the dead is one of them. But, Ethan is really great at wearing his cross on stream. But when it comes to actually understanding the faith, the Christian faith, especially Catholicism, you're putting nuns getting impaled on your covers of Cyberfrog and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, he doesn't know anything about the Catholic faith. So he's all like, I don't understand why someone would help someone without any expectation in return. We're just going to make up the expectation. And actually, here's the other thing, is Comic Book Hut, when he went around saying that, like, oh, Douggerts, that was hush money. I have the stream that was privated of where that theory it came from. And it didn't come from Comic Book Hut. It came from two people, Ethan being one of them. And when that theory was put out, that you could hear the Comic Book Hut, he goes, no. He rejected that because he knew deep down in his heart that that was not true. But the individuals who put that in his head, he ran with it. So I have the receipts on that one, but I have not dropped that receipt yet. But maybe one day, if people want to play enough stupid games, they're going to win a stupid prize. So yeah, the Comic Book Hut himself rejected that theory, and I completely destroyed it and blew it up with my own receipts, the handwritten thank you notes from him, and the prayer card from his mother's funeral and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's see. Ben Dunn's, blah, blah. Edwin, apart from a few extremely rare statistical outliers, super spurgs don't exist in public. They were completely invisible at Heroes Convention, Charlotte, a month back. What is these people's issues? Yeah, they got issues. The Whisperer is here. What I find funny about Comic Book Hut is all the people that derided and called him a liar suddenly believed his claims about you. Yeah, I like that the theory for years was that my grand master plan was like Comic Book Hut and his 15 unique viewers. Like, I'm pretty sure Ethan just watched his videos 20 times and then it was like worked into the numbers, the calculus on the videos. But anyway, the guy had like, 250 subscribers total. And they're like, Doug Ertz was trying to bring down Comicsgate, working with Comic Book Hut. Dude, that is such an insult to my own intelligence. I mean, come on now. Why, if I wanted to do that sort of stuff, I would have just created like a different YouTube channel called Comicsgate Exposed or something like that under an anonymous account. And then I would have just uploaded clips all the time to it or something along those lines. And I would have done it in a way where whatever. It's on so many levels. It's just so dumb. And like I said, if you go to Vicky and Dean's stream that they did a couple years ago, where he admits that even before he knew even acknowledged my existence, he was making the exact same videos because he wanted his late book. So unless you're saying that I went back in time, Marty McFly style, then it doesn't even make any sense. So yeah. Let's see. Hey everyone, first time here, Final Fantasy fan. I found out about Soul Finder thanks to Common America and looked into it and thought it was cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Cool, very cool. So, all right, Soul Finder. We could talk about Soul Finder here. Speaking of Soul Finder, this was from the show. Thank you for inspiring others to be great. All right, Larry, thanks for coming to the show. So I was hanging out with Matt Weldon the other night at his place, and we spent hours talking about Seraphim because Soul Finder Volume 6 will feature the Seraphim prominently. The problem, if you want to call it a problem, is they have a lot of eyes. And if you know Matt Weldon, he's going to draw those eyes. So, but anyway, I saw Matt's initial idea around the Seraphim, and it's looking pretty cool. If I do say so myself. So anyway, Soul Finder Volume 5 is being, the inks, they're being finished now. There's like not too much left. And then it's also being colored. Rodrigo Aviles is back. He's coloring. The stuff that he's already turned in looks awesome. I don't have an exact timeline, but it is all coming together. Also, Soul Finder Volume 6, I should get the finished script to Matt in the somewhat near future. So then as soon as he's done inking, he's basically ready to start on Volume 6. So, and then the plan after that is to put out, Volume 6, and then I got to work on the omnibus and things like that. Here we go, $40,000 a pop. The after party with Rippaverse and readers. Thank you, if anyone who's tuning in. If you showed up to the after party, had a really great time. I tried to stop by different tables and say hello to everybody and thank people for coming by. If I didn't, I apologize. But I was trying to basically, quote unquote, make the rounds and shake people's hands. And Mr. Nelson, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. But anyways, everybody from the Rippaverse was very, very nice, very, very kind. They stopped by the booth, and that was cool. And people were able to exchange books and all of that. And yeah, so Rippleorian, thanks again for talking to me at length about all things indie comics at the after party. Really appreciate it. Had a great time. Also, later this year, I said that Iconic Comics was not out of surprise ammo. And now we have the tweet by Tim and Mark. They got the passport. They got the Common America mask. They got the dates, November 29th and 30th. Where in the world is Mark Pellegrini and Timothy Lim? So yeah, interesting things. You know what? I haven't taken a trip overseas myself in a long time. I wonder if I should go overseas. Huh. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. Do I have my passport up to date? Let's see here. Oh, yeah, it looks like my passport is up to date. Huh. I wonder where Tim and Mark are going. I wonder if I should also fly overseas. I wonder if Iconic Comics is going anywhere in November. Interesting. Anyway, moving on. More cool things. Speaking of artwork, Matt Weldon sent me home with more artwork. Eric Canetti. I was doing my thing at the booth, and then Eric basically just stops by, and he's just like, hey, dude. And he also was doing original Soul Finder art as well. So that was cool. Let me bring this in. So pretty cool when you're just doing your thing, and then Eric Canetti stops by and then, has Father Redder impaling these like demonic type creatures, which looks similar to the bad guys in Arc Athena, but I do not believe they are. I think this is just some sort of demonic creature. But I'll have to double check. Like I said, I have Arc Athena 5 and 6, and I will read that this weekend. Had the challenge coins at one. I got to meet Brandon Taylor as well. That was super cool. So I saw some guy. There's this guy on Twitter, and he was making fun of the challenge coins, but he's like this big comic skate guy, and I couldn't help but think about the Ribbit coins that were launched years ago that the Roy Loop brothers exposed. Like, it was just paper that was glued onto these like cheap coins, and then when they put mayonnaise on it, it just slid right off. So you have this guy, this comic skate guy, and basically making fun of these. Like, these are hefty metal coins, like they're actually like pretty tough, and if you see them in person, they're pretty cool. Anyway, he was going out of his way to mock these coins that were given out for free to people that went and signed up, or for the after party. I guess there was a small fee for the after party, which I don't think that there will be next year, but I can't 100% say that, but I don't think there will be a fee next year. Anyway, they got these coins if they went to the after party. They were really cool, and this guy's like trashing them. I'm like, wait a second. You like are a shill for the Ribbit coins that just had paper glued onto like cheap metal that I think it wasn't even like, it was falsely said to be actual silver or gold. I forgot the exact details, but it was just paper that came off when you like smeared a little mayonnaise on it. It just slid right off. It just shows how dishonest these guys are. So yeah. Let's see what else. Arc Athena 5 and 6. Already talked about that. Went to the Iconic Comics facility and got to hang out with the guys. Mark was super sleepy there. All right. Eric and the president, the real president of Iconic Comics, got to meet at Bell County Comic-Con. That was pretty cool. They were also speaking at the panel together, so that was awesome. Andrew from Rippaverse was a super cool guy. Very nice. Very cool. And let's see, is there anything else I'm missing here? Got the Angels again. Like I said, overall, just a great time all around, and enjoyed everybody's company. Mr. X, Thanks again for coming out. Appreciate it. Very cool. Story time with friends. Edward says, I'm going to try and make it out to Bell County Con next year. Dude, be great to see you. So anyway, I think that's about it. It's 3:39. I got to pick up my wife at work pretty soon here, so I'm going to take off. It's Friday. Like I said at the start of the broadcast, tonight we have rotisserie chicken again, sweet potatoes again, and asparagus. Tomorrow is ribs. Going to be eating good in the neighborhood, but not at Applebee's. It's going to be at the Ernst household. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for letting me share my receipts, proving that Ethan Van Sciver is a liar and continues to lie about Iconic Comics because he is butthurt over the fact that we were at a convention hosted by Iconic Comics with 40,000 people with Iconic Comics and Rippaverse under one roof. Ethan Van Sciver, the same guy who for years said that Comicsgate was going to have its own convention down in Orlando. I still got the receipts on that one. When did that Orlando show happen? How many people were there? Oh, wait, it didn't happen. So, Ethan, call me back when Comicsgate, under your control, your trademarked control, host a convention with 40,000 people. But until then, you might want to just kind of chill out and maybe, just maybe, you might want to deliver those books that are like 4 years late, if I'm not mistaken, Rainbow the Brute. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Final Fantasy Fan 012, thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thanks for spreading the word about Soul Finder and Iconic Comics coming to America, Black Ops, Arc Athena, Butch Killigan, Kindred Heavens, Long Harbor, Punchline, and anything else that I'm missing. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. See ya.